People aren't forcing sex on boys at such a young age. I feel like even in our Latino culture, it was just like
macho.
yeah, like if
go
a boy,
get her.
get him a prostitute at 12. You know,
What?
he has to become a man.
Not in Ohio, honey.
Exactly, but in
Like
other
you
countries,
said.
you know, it's just
No,
like
yeah.
normal. Let's bring him into manhood. I'm Honey German. My parents are Dominican. I was born and raised in New York City. I love sneakers, and I'm a body positive advocate.
I'm Carolina Bermudez. Soy nicaragüense, but I was born and raised in Ohio. I'm a wife, a mama, and a worker bee. This is Life in Spanglish.
Is that what you're going
Well,
to
I'm
do?
swallowing.
Pause.
Honestly. A girl can't eat.
Didn't I tell her she could eat her food,
I know, but-
Andrew? He said 3, 2, 1, and the mic
I
are
know,
on.
as soon as I put the thing in my mouth. Okay, we're good.
Pause again, Carolina.
Pause.
All types of flags on Carolina on this morning. This is Life in Spanglish. I'm Honey German.
And I'm Carolina Bermudez.
And here we are again, dedicating our time to you guys because you love this so much.
I'm so excited to see you. I missed you.
I missed you too. I haven't
But-
seen you in 2 weeks.
I felt like I was with you, though, because the pajama jam. I was like watching all of those videos while I was at home.
The pajama jam was lit, with the exception with some adult brownies somebody brought, and then the party became a mess.
Why would that be? I would welcome the brownies.
Bruh, everybody became kind of like zombie-like.
Really? Oh,
I
then
think
that's
the-
a bummer.
I think the brownies were cut too big.
Okay.
It's like full-blown, like entire like loaves of brownie. You know,
Okay,
you're supposed to
then
have like a
you
little
can't- yeah,
nibble
you
or
get a
something.
little nibble. Yeah, you don't go there.
And here's the
fully.
crazy thing. I don't think some people even knew that they were adult brownies.
Oh no.
So it was even more fun.
Well, that's a lawsuit. All right, let's move on.
Don't sue
no.
me. I got no type of insurance to pay y'all with.
No, you guys looked so cute. You looked like you rang in the new year in a great way.
Yeah, we did. We had a good time. You know, Christmas, my birthday, New Year's. It was all bundled up together. So I had a long 2 weeks.
And your birthday dress, who was the designer of this dress?
That was a Baglamishka mermaid gown.
unbelievable.
Listen, my birthday's on New Year's Eve. I cannot, I got to go big or go home. I can't do these type of things.
Well, that's where I went. Someone's home. So I wasn't wearing any Badgley Mishka gowns anywhere. I think I wore H&M, actually.
Okay,
but no,
that'll work.
It was
Listen,
all good.
I had to. It's weird for my birthday because I feel like I got to do the most. Like I got to do hair, I got to do makeup. It's New Year, new
Right.
me, my birthday, and
Yeah.
I did the most.
You
But I
did
but
it.
I just went to like a club in Manhattan.
No, but you were super cute, and I'm glad for you. I was
Thank you.
excited to see you enjoying yourself
And
on
my
your
friends
birthday.
dressed up too.
That's so great.
They were-
Ashley looked good.
Bella looked good.
Wait, why does her husband look like Jason Derulo? Like, if you look really fast, like, if you guys, we're going to put up a picture of Ashley.
Please.
She's darling.
And it's got to be a picture of her husband with the curls. He cut off the curls.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
half
look.
Mexican. He had these beautiful curls, and now they're gone. And
I
I'm
looked
like,
and I
now
was
you're
like-
just plain black.
No, he looked. I looked and I had to do a double take because he had that long jacket on. He was
Ooh.
looking all like super fly.
He
I
was
was
trying
like,
to
okay.
style on us. That's what he was trying to do.
All right, and don't think I didn't see Noonie in his sequence.
You already know. I dragged him. I was like,
I
listen.
loved it.
DJ Self done taught us well. We need one of them glittery jackets.
Oh, is that what DJ Self had one?
Yes,
Oh
always.
my gosh, I
DJ
love
Self
it.
is the king of like jackets and blazers. He be crushing the game.
Well, you know what? We are coming in on the new year, and I had some time to actually relax, which was
That's
really
good.
lovely and beautiful. I won't say that I'm well rested. I'm more rested.
Well, you have two little ones.
Is a better way to put it. Yeah, they were all over me. But like, a lot of people are still talking about the R. Kelly documentary, which I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't mention it.
Yeah,
It's too topical.
it was 6 full hours, very intense, and it happened the past 3 days. So it's like it's still very fresh in everyone's mind.
Right, but I mean, I only made it to the 3rd episode because it was so disturbing. And my
Did
husband,
you watch 3 hours? Is that what you did? One, two,
one,
and then
2, 3, yeah,
3
the-
hours. Okay, I
yeah.
watched all 6. I had to see this all the way through like last year.
Okay.
Because I've always been, very in tune with current events and what's happening.
Of
And
course,
since I was
yeah.
a little girl, I remember the R. Kelly, drama and trials. So I really wanted to see it all the way through. But it's disturbing,
It's
to say the least.
so disturbing. And the one thing, my husband and I were watching it together because I told him, I was like, just watch this thing with me. He rarely ever sits down to watch stuff like that. And he just said, he was like, are you even like mentally prepared to watch this? Because he knows I'm an empath. Like, I feel things, and I could feel myself getting upset listening to the survivors and what they went through. And on the 3rd hour, I was like, I can't watch it anymore. I had to turn it off. But, the thing that I think a lot of people need to actually learn from this, you can talk about the culture, you can talk about the industry, but like, how do you prevent something like this happening? How do you have the talk with your daughters? How do you have the talk with your sons? Because the responsibility is there too, to have a healthy relationship. And I think this all stems back to, if you haven't seen the documentary, I think it all goes goes back to him being molested at a young age, and then he formed thoughts about sex. And, I'm paraphrasing here, but, I think that the biggest takeaway for me was, how do I talk? I don't have daughters. How do I talk to my nieces and protect them from situations like this happening? Because you can get caught up. A lot of those girls said, I just got caught up in it.
You can.
I didn't know how to get away.
And it's crazy because, as family, you think you're doing the right thing. You think you're protecting your kid. But then, an adult comes around and everything changes for your child.
It changes for everybody's life.
The whole entire spectrum of their life and how it's going to turn out can change or will change. And it's crazy because it does start with home life. It does start with family. It started like that for him, not to say that that's the reason why he did the things he did, but being molested at 7 years old as a little boy,
obviously it's going to leave a mark. Yeah.
It's already traumatizing, and it's common. It happens a lot. Children are molested. And what's sad is that a lot of them don't speak out and a lot of them don't get the treatment that they need. And
correct.
Then it transpires through a whole entire life. It's like you're molested as a young girl and then you think, sexual acts are normal at 10 and then you're pregnant by 12 and then you're prostituting by 15. We got to figure out A, how to try to avoid it and B, how to seek, treatment for someone that has experienced such a traumatic, situation.
Well, I think when you're young, just speaking for myself, when I was younger, we were actually talking about this, how you thought you were so grown and, you thought you had all the answers. And, I certainly did too. But what I think it's a self-esteem issue a lot of time for young ladies. It's like if you empower your young daughters or your nieces or your, granddaughters to think like, I'm worth so much more than this, then maybe they won't go down a particular path. But it's like when you get that attention as a young lady and here's somebody who's famous that's giving you this attention who maybe could help you in the future. I'm just saying from the perspective of these young ladies, so it's like, gosh, how do you prevent something like that from happening? Well, if we had the answer, nothing like this would happen. But you don't have the answers, you know?
I luckily wasn't, exposed to anything like that as a child, but it came from my parents being very overprotective.
But don't you think that can kind of like, I don't know, that can backfire?
Now as an adult, I look back and I'm like, it's perfectly fine what they did because they protected me from, being abused or being touched or finding myself in like my friend's house while her father is touching me overnight and nobody knows because I wasn't allowed to sleep out of my house.
Girl, come on.
I wasn't
allowed to spend the night anywhere.
My mom didn't want me even like playing with boy cousins, and back then I just thought like, wow, my mom's mind is so perverted. She thinks everything is going to be about sex. But now that I think back on it, it's like at 12 years old, I was fully developed. I was a girl, you understand? I would attract a male cousin, that wouldn't know the difference of like, no, this is my family. Maybe I shouldn't touch her. So it's like, I'm grateful for my mom. And some people find this weird, but my mom wouldn't even let me sit on my father's lap.
Right.
Like, she was just like, yeah, I understand that is your father, but there's also instances of fathers molesting their daughters.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to arouse that type of, like, interaction between you and your dad. So you're not allowed to sit on your father's lap. You're not allowed to come out of the bathroom in a towel. Like, we would have to get dressed in the bathroom.
Really?
Yes. Our nightgowns were not allowed to be any type of see-through. Once you had boobs, you needed a training bra, and you would not be allowed to go without it. My mom was very, very aware of child molestation and of family doing this. It's very common for this to happen within families, and it's very common for families not to pursue legal action and let this, fester for decades and
it's true.
And then force you to be around, your molester because he's your first cousin, and because we didn't want to lock up your cousin because your moms are sisters. So I to bring it back, you have to be very aware, and you have to think about, your kids, regardless of how you feel. Because I felt like, wow, I want to sleep in my cousin's house, and
You're a mean mom. My mom was always so mean. My mom, like, I was the kid that was playing shirts and skins with my brothers until I got booblets, and then she was like, you got to put a shirt on. Bongo na camisa. I was like a wild girl,
you
know?
Were.
And
I can see it.
I was always flirting, and, they tried to do things, and that's where I say it almost backfires because your parents can be strict, and it almost entices you to do what's worse, So I was that girl that was like trying to sneak out, but then we got an alarm. So I was like, damn, how do I get past the alarm? I was always thinking of something. So I don't know. I believe that when I was younger, I think that my mom and dad tried to prevent so many things from happening to me, but I was just so stubborn, and I really did. I was very headstrong. Like, I thought I had all the answers, but thank goodness. And I always look back and I reflect and I thank God, like, that nothing happened, when I was younger. But man, you look at some of these young ladies and it's like, I wish I could have helped you, like you wish that somebody could have helped them. So it's no doubt going to be a story that continues, and the industry I know is trying to wrap their heads around it. I know we are going to feel a lot of it just from being in radio.
No, yeah, most definitely. And I'm very proud of John Legend, and I'm Dream Hampton and everyone who is involved in this project.
For sure.
And one thing that I did find a little bit disconcerting and kind of like distasteful was, a lot of people with the victim shaming and a lot of people with the memes.
How dare they?
I refrain from posting any memes. And I'm not going to lie, some of them were funny, but I'm like, you guys are being so like distasteful.
Well, but also like
point.
Put yourself in their position. Or why don't you think if that was your sister or your daughter or, somebody that you were close to in your family? So I can't get down with that.
It's weird because when it comes to celebrities, people always want to take the celebrity side, and they're all liars. Let's take Bill Cosby for example.
Correct.
Oh, we love Bill. They're crucifying Bill. Okay, so you mean to tell me like 36 women are lying on Bill? It's like not 2 of them are telling the truth. So it's weird because when it comes to celebrities, people just rather take their side, even though these are celebrities they never met, just because let's say you like their music or you like their TV show.
Which I was shocked to hear that his streaming numbers skyrocketed after the documentary, after the Surviving R. Kelly, the whole show. People were saying how the streaming numbers on all these different services, people were listening to his music more. I'm like, why? Why would you? If anything, it turned me off.
And that's the same thing Jada Pinkett Smith asked last night. She was like, what am I missing here? Why are his streamings up? Like, what are you people doing? Like, we just showed you all of these survivor stories, and here you guys are.
Real stories.
The only thing I can think of to answer Jada Pinkett's question is maybe people, during the documentary, they said a lot of these songs were about young women, about, miscarriages with young women, that he wrote them. Maybe people went back to re-examine the lyrics. That's the only thing. Or
to try to figure out what he was going through in his life at that time.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that's the reason why people were streaming R. Kelly all weekend long, because I would hate to think y'all trying to step to the name of love when he just got exposed for damaging 36 women, young girls' lives.
Yeah. I don't think I need to examine the lyrics of Feeling on Your Booty. I think I figured it out. I think he was feeling on someone's booty that he probably shouldn't have been, and boom, there you go. So enough with him. I mean, I had to bring it up because we were talking about it before in the studio, and we were just saying how, gosh, it's just like a story that won't go away. But it's a good thing that it won't go away, because now maybe some people will get justice.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping for.
And, good for them. I sympathize with the parents so much.
Yeah.
And, one thing that came up was, why can't we separate his music from who he is?
I can't.
I can't either.
I can't. I'm sorry.
I wish I could, but I really couldn't.
Well, I think that there's a lot of people who are referencing to, if you go back into the 90s and the early 2000s, and you think of Michael Jackson, I mean, there's still that hesitation for me whenever I hear a song and I'm
really?
A
lot of people leave Michael out of this.
And let's talk about it. You know what I mean? There are many, many people who came forward and said the same kind of stories about him. So, I don't speak ill of the dead. I know he's not here to defend himself, but, there's a lot of people who will still support
the music,
and they can forget about the person and what they may have done, but I simply can't do it.
I can't do it either. I'm off R. Kelly, like 1,000%. I'm super pro woman. I don't want women being abused, being spoke to, ill, anything like that. So anyone who any allegations come up against them, especially when it has to do with the dozens of women, I'm off them. What do I need R. Kelly? There's so much great music in this world. Why do I need to listen to You Remind Me of My Jeep?
I know, right? And it's like people were saying he's a genius. How is this guy? I mean, he was catchy, but I mean, genius?
Yeah.
I don't give that title very freely.
Listen,
like, somebody's a genius.
The hip hop and R&B community consider R. Kelly like a musical genius. They don't want to let him go.
He was talented. I'm not going to deny that. I think a lot of people are saying that the Me Too movement has now finally hit hip hop.
It has,
because they've been kind of flying under the radar for a while with all of this stuff, and now it's almost like what's been done in the dark is now coming to light, and people are talking about it. So Cardi B even said something.
Yeah, I'm very supportive of the Me Too movement. I wanted to hit not every genre of music, but every genre of abuser, predator, and rapist. Everyone needs to be held accountable for whatever their actions have been, and any type of violent crimes against women.
Yeah,
we have to stop covering it up, and women have to feel comfortable to come forward no matter how many years ago. That's another thing. Oh, that was 20 years ago. Now you say something, that's her business. If she didn't feel comfortable until 2018, who's to say she can't tell her story? And the victim shaming is at an all-time high.
That I can't believe.
Oh, of course.
I would actually, that's something that I just can't I can't wrap my head around that more than this other stuff, because I don't understand how somebody can make fun of a person who's been victimized and make them feel worse than they already did. It's like, well, then how do you expect other people to come forward with their stories?
And that's the main reason why people don't come forward, because, they're made fun of. They're painted as liars. They're painted as people that want to sue, that they want to get money. And it's like, we have to stop the victim shaming for 2019. It's like, how do we go and support the person that's being accused of crimes and then the person that's victimized? We want to make fun of them. We want to meme them. We want to say they're lying. Meanwhile, we don't know anything about these stories.
No.
We were not there. We don't have details. We weren't a judge. We weren't a lawyer. We weren't the person at the hospital that gave her the rape kit.
Ugh.
It's like, let's allow everyone to have their story.
For sure. I actually read it was an article a long time ago, because there was a lot of things that were happening on college campuses, which I believe John Legend works with one of the organizations that was bringing a lot of those accusations to light. And if I'm speaking out of turn, then I apologize. But I believe he is associated with an organization. Now, I read an article that really hit me, and this was when I only had Noah, and it was from a psychologist, and they said, we have to have these discussions with our sons, because there are two people who take part in this, and it said it starts very early. So when you're little, something that you mentioned, honey, you go over to your aunt's house, and your aunt says, vaya a saludar a tu tío and go sit on his lap, and no. You have to allow a person to feel their emotions. So if you're a shy little girl and you don't want to go sit in their lap, some mothers would be like, go do it anyway. So that's basically telling you that my no doesn't mean anything. So it said from the very early age, you have to teach boys and girls, no means no.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're playing Power Rangers. It doesn't matter if you're playing doctor, whatever it is. No means no. And it's something that we talk about with our boys. And I say, when somebody says no, what do? Hands off. Hands off, because you know what? No matter what, it can apply to anything. It can apply to two boys playing together and getting too rough, and it escalating into something. It can escalate. It can be a young man and a little girl. Like in a relationship. So that's one of the things that we're really trying to drive home. And right now my boys aren't at an age that we really have to discuss it. Like, we don't watch provocative things, or they don't even know. I mean, they think kissing is like ooh, whenever they see my
they still find
Mark
it gross.
But yeah, it's definitely a conversation that needs to happen, and I think that parents need to take the responsibility. As uncomfortable as it is for you, it's essential.
And I'm also glad to see, that now people aren't forcing sex on boys at such a young age. I feel like even in our Latino culture, it was just like
macho.
Yeah, like if a boy, get him a prostitute at 12. He has to become a man.
What? Not in Ohio, honey.
Exactly, but in other countries, it's just normal. Let's bring them into manhood.
Well, it's just something. You know what it is, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's just something that is so beautiful and tender and special. And I look back on my first experience, and I know there are so many things that I would have loved to have done differently, but I think that if we have that conversation with boys, that, it's sweet, it's tender, it's going to be just as beautiful for you as it is for her if you wait for the right moment and if you do it the right way. You know what I mean? And I think that just there's this exposure to pornography and all of these other things that I have to factor into it.
Yeah.
Because that's not real love, by the way.
It's not.
It's not.
But when it comes to men, it's like they don't, maybe... people don't see it as like, oh, it's going to be about love. It's just going to be more about like
physical.
Mm-hmm. And that's the problem that we've had with boys. And boys are equally as molested as girls are. But I feel like with boys, it's just like, oh, your babysitter touched you, or you're a man. He's 9.
Or when they say like the
Lock
teachers.
her up.
Do you remember like when the teachers, all that scandal?
Those teachers are
scandals.
freaks.
But those teachers, this is the problem. Now, I'm going to just tell you what I've heard other people say. Damn, she was hot. I'd let her do, No, not when it's your son. When it's your 14-year-old son and his 23-year-old teacher is coming after him, you're going to have a different perspective. At least I would.
Yeah.
I would smack a hoe. I would get arrested. I would be arrested. Like I said to Mark, I'm like, if something like that, God forbid, ever happened, I would go to jail.
But let me ask you a question. If let's say Noah's 15 and his teacher's like a hot 30-year-old, what would Mark say? Like, do it, son.
See, Mark, that's the thing. It's so funny because Mark is very conservative. And
He
I
is?
don't want to
Okay.
paint him in this light that he's like not, a dude. But, I think he's very responsible.
That's
you
good.
know, I think
he makes
that
good decisions.
He does, and I think that he would talk to the boys and maybe say the right thing. I think if they were older, it might be different.
Yeah.
You know, but like he always says to me, he went to Tulane for undergrad, and he says, I would never allow my daughters to go to Tulane, but our boys, absolutely. And I'm like, well, what's that saying? Like, what kind of a message? And I called him on it. I was like, well, what does that say? Like, so the girls can go, you know, so that the boys can be wild with the girls?
That's a conversation that we have in my house all the time. My husband's like, I do not want a daughter because I don't want her to deal with the drama of her being fast. But my son, is lit. I'm gonna teach him everything.
See, but
he gonna get all the hoes. I'm like,
your son's not your homeboy. Your son is your son. He becomes your homeboy after like 18, 21, maybe then. You know what I mean? But like that's a fine line.
There is a lot of double standards when it comes to men and
Totally.
women. Because sometimes I'm watching TV and I'm like, oh my God, this teacher is sick. And Nooney's like, I wouldn't lock her up if she had sex with my son.
That's it.
I'm like, what do you mean? He's 15, she's 30. He's like, who cares? They boys. I'm like, you see, you are part of the problem.
And it's that emotional awareness that I think that we forget about with our sons or with our boys, to teach them, like, no, there is something really special about being in a relationship. You don't want to hit it and quit it with everybody, you know, seriously. And also I don't want to be a grandma when you're 15 either.
It's thanks to moms like you know, that now understand the value and understand that just because he's a boy doesn't mean like, oh yeah, have sex with whoever you want.
No.
Like, are you making out with anybody? He's 7. What do you mean? Like,
well, but I
stop.
feel like that is selling my son short. I feel like that's selling him short. Like, just because a girl will allow you to do it doesn't mean you should. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to feel about yourself after that's done? You know, I would love to maybe implement those things now, but, you know, you never know. And then that's the other thing is that they're wholly individuals. They're going to make their own mistakes, and they're going to do their own thing. And I mean, I can try and you can try to guide and do your best, but in the end, everybody's their own person. So I can only hope that I teach them well and that they'll be good people.
And you know what's crazy is like I have 4 nephews and they're all like 17, 18, 20, 21. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, listen, be careful, chill out, relax. It's not that deep. You know, go to college, get jobs, get your money, buy your sneakers. Like, to me, sex is so overrated. You know, having been young and having had a lot of friends that had kids as teenagers, I saw really like the effect of sex and how it can, you know, sometimes bring you into like really dark and bad situations that you don't need to be in at 17 and 18. Like, you have a full-blown scholarship, you know, to Long Island University. Go enjoy it. Enjoy the college experience. Like, don't get caught up just wanting to have sex. I don't know, because I'm older now and sex just really is not a big deal for me anymore.
Well, because you're allowed to have it.
I'm like, it's not that deep.
You know?
Yeah, I guess so. Since it's like I can do it whenever I want. I'm like, whatever. I tell them, I'm like, it's not that deep. I guess for them, it is that deep.
You know, I would love to get a doctor in here to talk about this, because I know the scientific development of a teenager, you know, like they are firing on a different level, hormonally, mentally, physically, than we are. So it's like, to them, love, you remember when you were in love when you were 14, 15, that was it.
Lord, listen, I wanted to run away from home
I
just
was
to be able to date guys.
I was gonna marry Dino. Dino was my man, and I was like, that is it. I'm gonna have and then I like look back, I'm like, you dummy, you know?
You,
like,
me.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, you're passionate, you're feeling all of these things because you're still a child, you're still developing.
And you're restricted too. Like, I remember one of my first boyfriends was like in exile here from Chicago because he was like a gang member and a drug dealer.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's like, oh, okay. I was like 17, he was like 23, and I wanted to kill my family for not letting me be with him.
But he loves me.
But now I think back and I'm like, this was a full-blown drug dealer, like on the run. He ended up getting locked up for like 8 years.
Well, thank goodness not with you.
Exactly.
You know, like you look back and you think, how many times was I in a car when he was like carrying stuff, or like, you know,
You know what's crazy? When he got locked up, he told me, they were like, well, where's the girl that's always with you? Where's the girl that's always with you? But me at like 18, I was like, I'm moving to Florida. I'm going to establish us in Florida, and you're going to leave New York in this life of crime. And then I got the call in Florida.
You're going to fix him.
Your man locked up. I'm like, oh my God.
The Build-A-Bear is closed. Goodbye. I am not going to fix anything.
Oh my God.
Okay? I got this. Bye-bye.
I done lost my drug dealer.
Ta-ta for now, honey. Good luck. And, you know, that's the thing. It's like, you know, you look back, and I think age and hindsight is always 20/20. But, you know, if there's anything that I can say to people who are listening right now, and if you do have a daughter or niece or, you know, children of any kind that you could maybe influence, just talk to him.
Make him aware that this is wrong. What's happening right now is wrong.
If there's an older man or woman that's trying to talk to you, there is another reason why.
And make them feel comfortable with telling you things. You know, with my niece, I've always told her, anything you tell me is between me and you. Because sometimes, you know, kids don't feel that comfortable with parents.
I would never talk to my mother. My sister was my confidant.
My older sister, too.
No.
I'll show you
We
her.
came in heavy in 2019. Thanks
We had a lot to say.
Lifetime. My goodness.
Are we going to step into the salon and take a listener email?
Really quick, let's do it because I know that we have, well, you know what? People were complaining that we weren't talking long enough. Which, by the way, come to my house. My husband's like, she doesn't shut up. So
that's what I told. That's what I told Ashley. She's like, well, the episodes aren't long enough. I'm like, you get real life in Spanglish episodes every day that you hang out with me. So please shut it up.
Exactly. So do you want to step in?
Go ahead.
Dear Honey and Carolina, love you both for being real and for making a podcast that finally gets me. Yay. I'm having an issue with a friend. Let's call her Jan. Jan was dating Javier, but they broke up about 4 years ago. Mind you, it ended ugly, and the two haven't spoken since the breakup. Oh, Javier passed away a month ago, and Jan was posting pictures with the heartbreak emoji. It has me feeling some type of way. Like, you trashed the dude, now you're acting like you're so sorrowful. Am I wrong in feeling like this is fake grief? Am I a bad friend if I think she's acting clownish with this? Love you, ladies. This is from Meri.
Meri, you a savage.
Yeah, Meri, you took it there, so let's just go, okay? You first.
I don't know. It's weird because I've had bad breakups in the past, and I'm like, this dude's a clown. He did this, he did that. That still doesn't take away from the fact that, you know, we loved each other and maybe we spent 4 years together. You don't know how the relationship ended or why she had negative feelings towards that. But somebody dying is really deep. You should be allowed to grieve, and you should be allowed to post if you want to. That's my social media. I'll post my bagel if I want to. I'll post my dead ex-man if I want to. So you are kind of being like a little bit of a bad friend. Allow her to post whatever she wants. Who cares?
Yeah, you know what it is? I think that maybe because you saw so much, you have a different perspective. Maybe that's the reason why you can almost be quote unquote judgy. But I think it's really hard for anybody to say that someone's being inauthentic when they're grieving someone. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
not
I
your
think
call.
it's just, I think that's just so highly personal that, like, it's not fair to comment on it.
Yeah, I can tell you this much. I be feeling a certain type of way when some celebrities die, and I didn't even know them.
Girl.
So you're going to tell me, like, I can't feel a way when somebody passes away because I didn't know them?
You know what?
She knew them. She could feel a way even if she was kind of mad at them.
John Mayer just posted something over the holiday break about Mac Miller, and he said that some magazine reached out to him and asked for a quote on Mac Miller, and he said, you know, I said all that I have to say. He was like, but then he was like, he sat there and he had this like profound sadness because he said when he sat there and thought about it, he didn't know Mac Miller the way that he wanted to. He was grieving the fact that he didn't get to know this person enough. And I am telling you, that hit home so hard for me because recently there was somebody who we lost here in the community that we work in radio. And I won't, mention any names or anything, but it was a person who I'd known for years. Never really was super tight or close with this person, but just through the industry, getting to know him. And, he had such an ebullient personality. He was larger than life.
He really did.
And, when he passed, I felt that. And I even said to Cubby and Colleen, I was like, I don't want people to misinterpret me as being like, because I wasn't putting on a show or anything. It was just, I felt sad. I felt like just my heartbroken.
And you're allowed to feel these things.
But he wasn't my best friend. We didn't even hang out on the weekends or, you know what I mean? So it was like, I didn't want people judging me for feeling a certain type of way.
That's
and then
so
I was
crazy
like,
that you have to feel like people are going to judge you for feeling heartbroken.
But then I gave myself the pass and I was like, fuck that. I'm going to feel however I want. And you know what? I'm going to honor this person and the few interactions that we had that I cherished. And I'm going to honor that because I'm allowed to do that.
You are.
But there was just, there was a lot around it. So I think, Meri, just give her a break. It's hard to lose anyone, and I think death is so final.
It really is. It's
and
like
you don't get it until it happens.
You don't know if one day I'll reconnect with him and one day I'll forgive him for what he did to me or
maybe, yeah.
And then that's stolen from you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my sister, someone she dated, died, and she kept explaining to me, like, I feel so hurt that I can never speak to them again. And they weren't together. And she's like, I feel so hurt just knowing that he's no longer on this earth. Like, I will never see this person. I will never be able to pick up the phone and call them. And she just felt such like weird pain just thinking of the fact that he left. That's it.
It's a loss.
It's final. It's over forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
So
let her post her heartbreak emojis, girl. You can go get her a drink.
Yeah, Meri, come
you
on.
know? I feel like that's just like the right thing to do.
Maybe she wanted that old thing back. You wouldn't even know it.
No, well, I mean, I feel like we talked about so much. There were other things that I wanted to ask you, too. I've gotten so much feedback from people. There was one girl who, this was what I was going to ask you. There was one girl who started, like, quote unquote, spam liking my pictures. Not spam liking, but that's like what people
want to get
right?
noticed. She's like, listen to me. You won't see me.
No, she said that she discovered me through the podcast. And she's like, I'm sorry for liking so many of your pictures. I'm like, you're sorry? Thank you. Like, what are you talking about? I love it. I think that's so cool. So please reach out to us, and we're going to start to do stuff on our social media. We are Life in Spanglish podcast at gmail.com if you ever want to email us.
If you want to step into the salon and you want some advice, send us an email. You could be anonymous.
That's right. You don't have to give us your real name. And then also on socials, we're at LI Spanglish. So subscribe and rate and review the podcast. And also, we got to get pictures done, girl.
Oh, we need to listen. New year, new us.
No, I mean, I need that Ashley Vera to come and fix my face, and
you know what?
I need a little wardrobe happening.
We really do.
We got to get this thing popping.
Please, Andrew. We need some red bottoms. Can we get a couple boxes mailed to us?
Thank you. Next.